Okay, so what we're talking about today, the AI Accelerator, I'm going to be sharing with you this essential system for thriving in the AI era. Now, if you're here, I know that you understand that being AI literate isn't going to be optional for long. Today, I'm going to argue that AI is moving much faster than you think it is, and that it's essential to be riding this AI wave and not just lagging behind. And I'm going to be showing you exactly how to get ahead of it and be riding the wave rather than feeling overwhelmed and stressed out by it. Quickly, if you don't know me, I'm Jeff. I'm a career strategist and coach. I have been for 11 years. I've been working in tech. I was working in tech for 15 years. I owned a software development company for 4.5 years that I grew to 13 staff. And I've, over the last couple of years, just been whole hog into AI, developing a specialty in AI. So what I'm sharing with you today comes from hundreds of hours of research, following the top thought leaders, and diving into this from the perspective of trying to understand it so I can bring the information to my clients, to people like you guys. So this is observation, not speculation. And what I am seeing now and can say with confidence is that the world is separating into two types of people and companies: the people who are riding the AI wave and those who are falling behind. Riding the wave means that you've recognized the ever-growing abilities of AI and are leveraging it more and more every day, not just for productivity, but for research, for strategic planning, for problem solving, creating new products and services, and reimagining your role and your company from an AI-first perspective. What I'm noticing and witnessing on a regular basis now is that a day of reckoning comes for every person in every industry in any role, where eventually somebody says, "What are you doing? Why aren't you using AI for this? How come you're not approaching this from an AI forward perspective?" And when they realize that you're AI illiterate, that's a very uncomfortable moment, and they've lost trust in you at that point. For some people, that happens when their boss or CEO, like you may have heard the CEO of Shopify and the CEO of Fiverr said, "Look, if you're not operating at this level, we can't carry you anymore. And the expectation is you're going to move up these levels of AI literacy." Sometimes it's your customers. That happened in my industry about 6 months ago. A lot of career coaches, they just do resumes, cover letters, interview skills. People were just like, why would I pay a career coach to do that kind of stuff? Why wouldn't I just go and get AI to do it for me? Sometimes it's your board of directors. When a member of your board says, "Hey, what's going on here?" So that day of reckoning has already come for programmers, for graphic designers, for customer service, for radiologists. It came this year for marketers and advertisers, for a lot of CEOs and the film industry. And it's about 6 months away from coming for bookkeepers and accountants. So if you're not feeling this transition, this change is happening, this expectation is happening, it's very possible that you're in a company that is behind. It's a bubble. You're not feeling that pressure to learn and adapt and start to innovate and integrate these things. But that day is coming for all companies as well. And what you don't want is to be in a company that gets overtaken by an AI first company and the company gets into trouble. So I'm watching one industry after another have this happen. So what I want for you guys and what I'm going to help you get to today is when that day of reckoning comes for you, you're ready. It's not an uncomfortable situation. You actually get recognized for being AI aware. You're seen as an essential person in the company for innovating, for moving into the next phase. Okay, here's how we're going to explore this topic. I'm going to talk about the 6 levels of AI literacy and see if you can position yourself in there, like what level of AI literacy you're at currently. We're going to use Jane here from marketing as a case study and as an example. And then we're going to talk about the 4 stages of professional evolution that happen as you move up the levels of AI literacy and the importance of that for directing your career and making good career decisions. Then we'll talk about the essential system for thriving in the AI era. And then I'll talk about how I can help you speed up the process if you'd like, and then we'll go into Q&A for the end. The first level of AI literacy is where you're using AI as a Google replacement. You're giving it simple prompts, maybe 1 to 2 sentences, asking questions, getting AI to do simple tasks like summarize an email or generate some content. And if we think about Jane, when she was at level 1 in her marketing role, she was saying, "Hey, give me 10 blog post ideas or make this email sound more professional." Not bad. She's still doing 95% of the work herself. And AI's contribution is pretty generic and bland, but she's getting something out of it. I would say about 50% of people, the general population, are still in this camp. Level 2 is where you're now really effectively using AI as a productivity tool. You're using it to write some code, do deep research, edit images. Maybe for every meeting now you have AI there taking the meeting notes, sending out a summary, the action items, that kind of thing. You're starting to give it a little bit of context and some advanced prompts, getting it maybe to write YouTube scripts or something like that. And if we think of Jane in this case, she's using it to analyze her competitors' social media strategies before deciding on hers. A job that would have taken her a few days perhaps and be really difficult, but now she can use AI to get it done extremely fast. She's giving AI the product brief for a new product and asking it to write a YouTube script that she can then modify. So she's not just starting from this blank canvas. She's generating Instagram images for her different campaigns, saving her from having to do it all herself manually. So she's not just prompting AI, she's learning to give information like her company's brand guidelines, examples of quality work, her writing style. And the result is that she's not just getting generic results, she's co creating high quality marketing assets. She's faster, she's more capable, she's producing better quality work at this point. She's still the worker in there doing all the work, but she's maybe 30% more productive, 30% higher quality work within the first 30 days. And that just increases, where after a few months, she's twice as productive as she was before, maybe 50% higher quality work than she could have done before. In my experience, about 40% of the knowledge worker population is now in this camp, mostly on the lower end of the scale. Very few people are actually maximizing these tools. At this level, you're very much thinking of AI as an app, as a tool. Level 3 is when you've realized AI is not an app, it's not a tool, it's intelligence. It's something that you can use as a cognitive enhancer, as a thinking partner. And at that point, you stop relating to it like an app and a tool and start relating to it as if it were a virtual person. You are having conversations with it now. You are brainstorming with it. You're using it to collaborate and to solve problems. And the whole way of thinking changes. This is very rare that I found that anybody's gone to this level. But when you have, that's when you've actually crossed the Rubicon into the AI world and out of the app world that we've been in for the last 30 years. It's a very important shift in understanding, and it completely transforms your way of thinking of AI, using AI, and thus seeing where this is going. So if we think about Jane in this case, rather than giving AI a bunch of tasks, she's saying, hey, I want to explore how do we capture 25 to 35-year-old urban yoga market? Let's discuss it and set off the AI to do some deep research. She's giving the AI very specific roles. Perhaps she's finding authors or experts. She's training the AI on those knowledge bases, their books, and she's starting to build out her very first agents. So maybe she built Tracy here, who's a AI avatar of her ideal customer. And when she generates content, she runs it by Tracy and says, what's your reaction? What do you think of this kind of thing? Getting feedback from a virtual customer. And then she's got her on-brand copywriter. So before she sends anything out, she has the copywriter check that everything's on brand and make improvements. At this level, she's taken her first steps out of the worker role and into the AI boss role, orchestrating the work of AI rather than doing all the work herself. Okay, we're halfway through the levels. Any questions, concerns so far? No? Okay, we'll keep going. Level 4. This is where, as you understand AI agents and custom GPTs and using AI as a cognitive enhancer and these roles, you realize sky's the limit. I can build out a whole team of AI. And that's where you do start to build out a team of AI. Perhaps you've got a co-CEO, which is what I have. You've got guides. I recently upgraded to Squarespace for my website, and I created an agent that was an expert in Squarespace. As I'm working, whenever I get stuck, I'm not going to the help documentation. I'm just saying, how do I do this? I'm sending a screenshot and said, this isn't what I want. I want it to look like this. How do I do this? And it just immediately is giving me answers. I've taken authors, taken their books, and put them into a custom GPT. And now I can ask them questions as if I'm talking to that author. So at this level, if we look at Jane, she is now an AI boss. She's got a team of specialized agents. She's not just writing the newsletter herself right now or doing the marketing strategy by herself. She's brainstorming it out using this marketing strategist as a cognitive enhancer. The ideas she's able to come up with, the distance she's able to travel in her strategic thinking and her problem solving and her envisioning is just much, much higher than she could do it before. And then she actually carries on the conversation into these other ones. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Like, here is my co CEO. What I've done with this guy is I've given him a bunch of information about me. I've given him my brand identity, my client testimonials, my company details, my goals, my niche, my strengths and weaknesses, all this information about my company, my services. And now, when I have a conversation with this person, I've also given him a set of system instructions saying, this is who you are. You are my co CEO. I want you to be challenging my ideas and helping me think things through in a much deeper way, come up with better ideas, stop me from making poor decisions that are based on emotional or past patterns that I've had. And I can have conversations now with this co CEO and get crazy good results compared to just going to generic ChatGPT. But what's even cooler is I can call in other agents. I can come here, custom GPTs are what they're called here, but we'll just call them agents to keep it simple. Perhaps for my online community, I want to create a new area. So what I can do here is do the @ symbol, go to my community growth specialist, and then I can just start dictating with Super Whisper, which is an AI dictation software, and say, hey, I want to create a new section for the website, which is about coaching people in how to progress their careers from an AI first perspective. I want you to help me brainstorm out the different features and different aspects of this. And then I would submit that and we would go back and forth talking it through until we got to, okay, I think that's a pretty good set of features. So imagine I've got a whole conversation here. And now, before we're trying to build it, perhaps I want to send out a message to my community and say, hey guys, what do you think of these different features or things that I want to build in? So, what I would bring in then is my email writer. And that email writer has that whole history of conversation. It has all the context files that I've given to my co CEO because I'm operating under my co CEO. It has all that information. It has that conversation we've had. And so I can just say, hey, draft an email sharing these top 3 features and this new section written to my community and ask people what do they think and request some feedback and produce an email. And in that way, I'm working as a team and really being productive. Okay. So likewise, that was what Jane would be doing, strategizing with her marketing strategist, creating the newsletter, and then maybe getting her graphic design agent to come up with icon options for each of the features of this new sneaker design. Okay, level 5 is where you're now working at the level of the operating system. AI is no longer an app or a chatbot. It's part of everything you do. And what that looks like is kind of like this. This is my AI operating system. If I need anything, this is my one-stop shop where I go to. It's visual, there's no friction, and I slowly build it up. As I discover new tools and apps and best practices, I just start adding it to my AI operating system. So if I need one of my team members, I go to my org chart here. Maybe I want to do some marketing. And so I go to Donald Miller, author of Storybrand, and I start a chat with him. And then maybe I'm working on my website. So I open up my Squarespace guide. I need to do some writing. So I've got all my different agents here. And then maybe I want to create an image. So I can come over here to my images section. I've got my image prompt enhancer. So I don't have to just generate from nothing all the time. I can use all these prompt enhancers and just talk to them through dictation and say, hey, here's what I'm trying to create, or here's an example of an image, and have it generate the prompt for me for whichever tool I want to use. I slowly collect the tools that I find the most useful or that I'm subscribed to. I've got my image library over here. I've collected different example styles. So effortless to just use all this stuff without the overwhelm, without the clutter, without all that stuff, just feeling, oh God, I can't get on top of this. This is what makes it really simple, clear, and easy. So there's different sections for each of the different things. If I want to write, I've got writing enhancers. If I'm like, what's the different kind of outputs that I can do here? I've got all the different output formats that ChatGPT can do, the writing tones, the writing styles, just kind of effortless. And this AI operating system is a part of this essential system for riding this AI wave. It's overwhelming. There's too much to learn. You can't learn it. You can't keep up. And so you need a place where you don't have to learn all these tools and learn all these techniques. They're just there. And whenever you need to use them, you just go to them and use them. So that's what the AI operating system is, a way of keeping everything simple, organized, clear. If we then look at Jane, here she has her AI operating system. So she's seamlessly jumping between agents and tools and prompts. She's working in a flow state with her workflows. She's way more productive without the overwhelm, zero friction. She goes from idea to prototype to producing it really quick. And it gets better, better, better over time. The final level of AI literacy is when you start operating at the level of organization. This is where it's no longer me and my ChatGPT or my agents just working by myself. I'm now seeing that these agents could be shared and used by the organization. There's knowledge base files and best practices and policies that need to happen at an organization level. And then we can start building out swarms of AI. We can do war game scenarios. Rather than having my one AI avatar of my ideal client, why not have 10 examples of our various best clients? And then when I do an advertising campaign, I create 100 ads and I run them by those 10 ideal clients and get feedback. And that's what I use to actually decide what advertisements to put out there. Again, if we look at Jane, that's what she's doing. She's creating swarms of AI agents. She's sharing those agents with her team members, creating company-wide automations. She's testing 100 ad possibilities. She's getting the AI to generate different ads, running them by her AI avatars, getting solid data, and going to a much higher level super quick compared to just working individually or at small scale. All right, those are the 6 levels of AI literacy. Just think to yourself, where are you at this point? At what level you are? Of all the people I've talked to on this, I've met one person who is operating above level 2. But this is just a general public. In my AI circle, everybody's operating somewhere around here. Okay, any questions, concerns so far? No, everyone's good? Okay, let's look at the next step then. So now that you have these AI literacy levels, let's talk about the evolution of your role, your profession, as you understand these different levels. As you move up into level 1 and 2, you're an AI enhanced worker, basically. You're 30% more effective, 30% higher quality work within the first 30 days. That's the average. And then it just goes up from there, depending on what industry and what kind of your role is and how much you're engaging with AI. People are getting 2x, 3x, much more productivity and higher quality work as they start to master the tools and the techniques. Then, as you move to level 3 and 4 of AI literacy, that mental shift happens when you realize, whoa, it's actually much better long term for me to be orchestrating the work of AI and being an AI boss rather than being the worker just hustling to use all these different tools. And so you start to build out those AI workforce and leading that team. The next level is correlate to levels 5 and 6 of AI literacy, where you now understand enough about how all this works to start to envision where we could go with this. You start to realize, wait a minute, we could actually do this in a totally different way. We could create this new product, this new service. We could redesign our org chart. We could redesign how we approach and what markets we move into. Whole new worlds open up for possibilities. So that's where you're the leader AI strategist at that point. And the final stage of the professional evolution happens when you've gone through all these stages and you get to a point where you're now capable of seeing where this is going. You see how AI is going to transform your industry or your company or your role. And now you can actually position yourself for success in that new world that we're stepping into. This is the level that I want for everybody here. This is my specialty. My mission is to help people get to this point. Because if you don't see where things are going, you're not in control. It's not a safe place to be. You want to be making good decisions that are moving you in a direction that's just going to get better and not have the rug pulled out from under you because a company like Maximize.work builds an AI agent that does your role or something like that, or your company goes under because they're not AI forward enough and you didn't realize that. So this is where I want everyone to get to. And that's what I am committed to helping people do. So that now leads us to the AI system. How do you get to this level? Because the way that I had to do it, because I didn't have this system before, and the way that most people are doing it is YouTube videos, taking various AI courses. There's not really a lot of books on the subject right now. They're having to hustle and figure it out. Let's talk about the essential system now. These are the 5 elements that are part of this system that is going to give you that surfboard and that ability to ride this wave without overwhelm and stress. You need guides because you can't figure it out on your own. It just takes too many months and too much time to do it by yourself. We need use cases. This is the part that most people struggle with, is you need a reason to use AI. What are the applications that are important for your specific role that you could actually use? You need the AI to actually do the work, obviously. The AI needs context, the information. This is the second area that people completely aren't doing in an effective way, which is why they're getting terrible results with AI. And lastly, you need support for when you get stuck. And you will get stuck, as I'm sure you've experienced. So let's step into these and see what I mean by each one. The first one is just people who have done the hundreds of hours of work to figure all this stuff out so that you don't have to do it. That's my role. The other type of guide is actually using ChatGPT. A lot of people are not even asking AI to help them with this kind of stuff. But when you get stuck or need something, you can just ask AI, and quite often it'll have a fairly decent answer for you. You can actually create agents. That's kind of like the Squarespace agent that I created. That's my guide for using Squarespace. You can create guides for just about anything. And then you're going to get your procedures, your best practices, your workflows, those kind of things. And that's your how-to guides that you'll collect as you move along. All of these things, of course, go into your AI operating system. That's what keeps it clear and findable and easy to use. Now that you've got guides, so you're not having to figure out the roadmap on your own and hunt around. Now, what we need is, where are you going to use AI? What are the things that are actually going to make a massive difference for you specifically? And you're not going to know what these are ahead of time. Just like when we had electricity come along. Imagine, if you can, the invention of electricity. There are no appliances, there's no computer, there's nothing electronic, there's no lights even. And someone said, okay, hey, I've got this electricity. It's this thing that runs in these wires. What do you want to do with it? People would be like, that sounds useless. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. No idea what actually is possible. So here's my next question for you guys. What's your number one use case for electricity? I want to ask you, Matt, what your thoughts are. What's your number one use case for electricity?
Use case in terms of what I use electricity the most.
Yeah,
God, I feel like it's doing kids' washing these days.
right?
The washing machine's always going. Yeah,
Good.
so that.
Yesh, how about you? What's your number one use case?
Oh, just batteries to keep things running.
Yeah,
Say,
good, good. You guys got it. So that's it. So use cases are the ways that you actually use AI. For electricity, these are my top 5 use cases. I can't imagine living without it now, but before these existed, we didn't miss them. We weren't trying to get them. And that's the way it is with AI right now. I'm finding, like, I have all these use cases. And when I talk to people and they're not using AI, what I'm noticing is they just don't know that these things exist or are even possible with AI. And they're very specific to your role, to your job, to your industry. So that is what your guides can help with. You can ask ChatGPT. I have an agent that I can give you that brainstorms out use cases for your specific role or industry. So the places to look, if you're curious about your own use cases, is where are you spending the most time doing repetitive work, doing data intensive work, doing procedural work? Anything that you can describe to AI now, it can usually do. Anything that's really hard, stressful for you to do, and anything that's core to your business, because all businesses need to evolve. So you really want to be looking at what are the key things that we do and start to use AI to do that. So your business evolves with AI. You become an AI forward business and not one that can't keep up with the ones that are AI forward. Okay, the AI itself. So can get a little technical. We're not going to go into too much detail, but there's 3 aspects of the AI. There's the AI model. Most people think ChatGPT is AI. It's not. It's a chatbot. It's actually an app. The AI model is the intelligence behind it. And we can plug that intelligence, which is, if you're using GPT-03 or 4.0, Claude 3.7, Sonnet, these are the actual AI models. You can create your own models. You can use Microsoft Azure and other things. If you have data in your company, you can build your own AI models. Then you've got the interfaces, and this is the apps. And this is what most people are operating at, is just in the app layer. And so you've got your chatbot apps, but then you've got apps like Notion that have AI built into it. You've got Zapier, which is all about using tools. Anyway, we're not going to talk about this whole layer too much because it can get complicated, but this is where a bit of technical understanding has to come in so that you understand what's possible and available at this level. But this is the level that, as you can imagine, hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars probably at this point are getting pumped into and developed at an unbelievable rate. So just about anything that you want to be able to do is either already possible or will be in the next 1 to 2 years. So again, you want to be thinking about the use cases so that you can leverage and use this stuff when it does become available, if it's not already yet. The next aspect that you need is context. This is the area that is the lowest hanging fruit that most people are not thinking about. The three aspects of this is number one, system instructions. When you have AI, if you're just using ChatGPT, that has been trained on the entire internet. If you can imagine, what would be the personality of somebody that was the entire internet? Right? It's going to be a giant blob. So what they do is they give AI a generic set of system instructions, which you're using, and it's be a very helpful, basically over-eager assistant. That's the system instructions they have given to the AI. So if you don't give it new system instructions, it's going to be this very generic, overly eager, helpful assistant. Again, you don't need to know how to create your system instructions. There's system instructions generators, which is what this guy is right here, a system instructions writer as part of your operating system. You can give it a role, you can give it personality, you can give it constraints as to what it should and shouldn't do. And that's how you get agents and AI to do way better work than you could otherwise. But the other thing it needs, which I'm also noticing nobody's doing, is context. When I described this guy, my co-CEO, what I said was I had given it all these files about me, my goals, my identity, my niche, my strengths and weaknesses. That's the only way it can help me. Just if you hired an expert consultant, you wouldn't just hire that consultant and you can say, okay, come in here and write me a marketing plan. They'd be like, whoa, hang on. What's your business? Who are your customers? What's your products? What are you trying to do? What are your goals? And they would ask you a ton of questions. That's what AI needs in order to do any good work, is all that information. So my suggestion is to build out a library of these context files, kind of like what I've done here for my business. And then I have it personally and for any project that I'm working on. Then when you're using AI, you can just plunk, plunk, plunk a couple context files into it, and you're going to get way better results than you could before. So that's the other piece that's needed. And again, all this may sound overwhelming and confusing, but that's why you need an AI operating system, just a place to put it all, because it's really simple once you have it and understand it, but you just need to collect it and put it in its place. And now when you go to use AI, it's more like putting Lego pieces together. It's just, oh yeah, okay, I need this, and plunk, plunk, plunk. It's much easier to use. And the last one is just the prompt, the actual instructions. And again, in your AI operating system, you've got your prompt generators. So you don't have to figure out how to be an expert prompt designer. Certainly a good skill, but you don't have to do it. The last piece is support, because you're going to get stuck. If you've tried to use AI in any advanced way, it's an incredibly frustrating experience. If you watch all the YouTube videos, everyone is on there showing you how to do magical stuff as if they didn't spend 10 hours pulling their hair out trying to figure out how to do it. So what we all need is support. That's a role that I play. That's what ChatGPT or your agents are. And I've created something called the AI Accelerator community, which I'm providing for free as a place to help you get unstuck. Let's look at that next. Before I jump into that, any questions, thoughts, concerns about these 5 aspects of the system? No? Good? Okay.
I was just going to say that I think what you've shown visually is it's best done together with others.
Yeah.
The variety of knowledge is huge. It's such a new era that we're in that there's no one real expert, I think, a voice on that because it's changing so fast. But I think that the collective ability and to not be shy to ask, not just ChatGPT, but to ask others, what have they learned? What have they stumbled across? Really important. And to have that collaborative relationship will get people, all of us, to those levels.
100%, Gord. That's where the community comes in, because coming up with use cases, figuring out what context files, like all the aspects of this are made easier by just having people to ask and to share. Now, what I'm giving you guys today is this 5-element framework so you can orient yourself and see what's needed. But the community is where you get unstuck, you get answers, and yeah, make steady progress without the frustration. So this is what I'm launching on Monday, is the online community. Again, it's free. And it's a place where you can ask questions, you can share tools, tips, resources, share use cases. I'm going to be there on a weekly basis having live meetups where I'll do whatever the community is needing. So I'll be there for Q&A, or maybe we'll build out agents together. I'm going to be providing various agents and prompts and libraries and things that you guys need. So yeah, that's the place where you're going to get support. And I'll be sending out updates every once in a while when the most important tools or most important updates in AI world happen. So you don't have to do all that follow up yourself. Now, how I help in this whole mix is I help you get in front of this wave. Even though 90% of the population is still here, what's going to have this not be stressful and really set you up is to get to the point where you're in front of this wave and then you're riding the wave. It's not stressful anymore. It's not overwhelming. It's not this growing mushroom cloud of AI stuff. Everything's got its place. It's all organized. It's clear. And you've got your use cases and you're now not on your own. You're riding this wave and getting all the benefits from it. So we've got the community. We've got the AI operating system. I'll give you an example of it. If you want a customized, personalized version of it for yourself, that's what I do in the AI Accelerator program. What I do is I help you get to the front of this guy here in about 3 months rather than struggling for 1 to 2 years. The benefits, once you're there, of course, you're in that position where you're actually skating on ice kind of thing rather than struggling and trying to catch up. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for coming. This is my first time doing this webinar. It's always interesting, but I really appreciate you being here and being part of it. So
10
thanks
out
a
of
lot.
10. Nice to meet everybody.
All right. We'll see you guys a little later.
Cool.
Right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.